Hello my friends, I'm Indy Pride from Milk and Cookies Total War, and today we plunge into the rain-slick streets of Helmgart to dispose of a rather rotten screaming bell that's sowing terror and discord near the Temple of Sigmar. We're on Vermintide 2, playing on Legend difficulty with a random group of people, and all the craziness and lack of communication that comes with that. And I am Marcus Kruber, the Empire Knight, equipped with his trusty halberd, the most versatile weapon in the history of mankind. Seriously though, Halberd is incredible in this game, one of the best additions in Vermintide 2, with a ton of reach, dismemberment potential, and most importantly, great for clearing out both hordes and armor. And if you learn anything about Legend in your first couple of runs, it's that you need armor piercing. You need it very badly. Feels like Stormformer mutation out there. Most of the ambient enemies you run into will have some form of armor, and so without the gear to deal with that efficiently, you'll very quickly get overrun. Blunderbuss is my secondary weapon. Great for killing specials out to medium range, great for thinning out hordes when you need to, but low ammo, so you need to make sure those shots count. And we're only a minute into this run and the first difficulty spike has already punched us in the mouth. Big fat Blightstormer and a whole bunch of ambient maulers all over the place, so I'd valiant charge my way over to deal with him before that nasty green tornado can make landfall. Already not an ideal start, but a gutter runner committing ritual Sudoku right behind me provides some nice comic relief. Was gonna pounce me. But those are the best, man. They line up like a glorious pounce from far away, and you just side dodge once, and it slams into a wall, or goes plummeting off a cliff, or impales itself on a broken cart. That's always really funny when you can get the gutter runners to die that way. But we're playing as the Knight class, as I said, and for Kruber, that shares a lot of similarities with the Dwarf Ironbreaker in that they both perform the role of a pseudo-tank. And I say pseudo-tank because your job in Vermintide typically isn't just sit there and absorb hits, unless things have gone really downhill, and you're just trying to create some space for your teammates to escape. But you have incoming damage reduction that I believe can get up to like 30%, 150 health on this character, as opposed to the 100 health a lot of other classes have, faster stamina regeneration, and a Valiant Charge ultimate ability that can stun Chaos Warriors and bosses and knock specials away from your teammates. So he has a really nice set of tools to work with, and if you're looking to make the jump from Champion to Legend, I think he's a really good character to try out. Because even with all his damage mitigation, you're still going to drop very quickly if you're out of position, but it eases that transition a bit more than playing something that's really super squishy, because you are tankier than your traditional classes. And the range of the halberd means a lot of times enemies can't even get close enough to hit you. But right now, we've got the second difficulty spike of the game, a Horde and a Stormfiend at the same time. A Stormfiend is honestly the easiest boss in the game right now, by far, I think. It's just not a very aggressive boss. It tries to fight you from range, and because of that, it doesn't really get up in your face, doesn't really separate your team that much. The idea of it is to basically isolate you from your teammates with the flame, but in practice, it doesn't do that much damage. It's pretty easy to dodge and kite around and not really worry about it getting up in your face and screwing with your team. So I think, by far, Stormfiend is the easiest boss. Rat Ogre can be a problem on some maps, especially when it can punch you off the map. There are a lot of terrain pitfalls where you can just die horribly if he sends you flying. But yeah, it's Chaos Spawn and Bile Trolls that are without question giving players the most fits right now. And between them, I think it's pretty situational, which can be a bigger problem. Stormfiend is dead now, though. It's one of my favorite spots in the entire game. Just pouring rain right now with the whole street wreathed in flame. Enemies just pouring out of the smoke right now, trying to get munched up by the halberd. It's just perfect, man. Absolutely love it. Now, you saw the Blunderbuss there. Not actually great against Packmasters. Put 2 shots into him. That's how many it took to drop him. And sometimes they won't even drop Stormvermin on Legend. We're going to get a Valiant Charge in, knock a few of them over, and reposition here to get closer to my teammates, and let them kind of flank these shielded Stormvermin, which just are so incredibly tanky. Sometimes you just find yourself slamming that left mouse button over and over again, can't break its shield. But the cool thing about the Halberd, actually, is that the second attack in the chain, the stab, breaks shields. So it's a good way to get a quick headshot in after that attack, as an assassin pounces right on my face, and we don't quite kill him in time. But as I mentioned at the beginning, I'm not with the pre-made groups that I typically play with for this run, and there's a pretty gigantic gulf, as you might imagine, between playing with a solid group of people that you know, and rolling with a squad of random pubs. When I'm with people like Distance, or Grimalact, or JSAT, there's a lot of confidence there. Picking up Crimson Tomes, typically not going to be an issue, and in fact, a lot of the time we do it with Twitch Intervention, like where you guys get to vote on what crazy bosses or enemies spawn into the game. That ratchets up the difficulty even further. And just yesterday, actually, we completed a Hail Scourge on Legend with Twitch Intervention. I think that's already on JSAT's channel if you want to go watch that. But with pubs, that comfort level is obviously going to go down tremendously. That's not to say these guys aren't good players. I just don't know them. And the teamwork is never going to be as good. The communication is never going to be as good. So I have no problem skipping books on Legend after taking the pulse, as it were, of how a run is going. One thing I absolutely recommend, something that I think people need to do a lot more, no matter if you're playing on Recruit or playing Heroic Deeds or the higher tier of gameplay, is just do a bit of analysis on how a run is going when you first jump in, and let that inform your decision on whether to go for books or not. I've been a part of a lot of games where 2 or 3 players are in white health less than 5 minutes into a run, and the host runs off to pick up a Grim right after a horde just spawned, and you hear specials on the map, you know that a bunch of enemies are coming your way, and the host will still go pick up a Grim. Like, that's probably not a good decision. Don't put your teammates into a bad situation just because you want to be a little bit greedy. Now, if they're all okay with it, that's one thing, go right ahead. And yes, if you want to drop the higher tier loot, you need to pick up Grimoires, but suiciding yourself and your team with the health loss during a run that's not going very well simply isn't the right play most of the time, and it should be pretty obvious, but a lot of people want to get greedy, and I understand it, because again, you are rewarded with the higher tier loot when you go for Grims, when you pick up those tomes, but I don't think it's really worth sacrificing an entire run just for that. Now this spot right here is an absolute death trap. The marketplace on Screaming Bell is a nightmare. You will almost always see people die here on Legend unless you guys get through quick or get real lucky. There's usually a patrol up top, usually a lot of armor that comes through here, and we've got a bunch of specials on us right now. So I'm going to just try to control all the enemies and linearize the horde as they come through and stun them all and then keep pushing them back. But there are so many coming through right now, so much armor, so much HP there, because there were 2 or 3 Chaos Warriors at least, a couple of Maulers. We just have to back up, and now I'm protecting the flank and looking out for specials. Now, the Elf's job right now is to deal with any specials with her True Flight from long range, so she's been doing a good job of that so far. It looks like Glaive, very good for armor. I'm very good against armor right now, and we just need to keep moving, get away from that horde, finish up that armor, and then finish off those specials like the Blightstormer that we just killed. Now, this Sienna wants to go for the Grimoire. I don't have a problem with that, running 1 Grim on Legend. I mean, again, look at the situation. Right now, we're okay. We have most of our characters on full or half health, so we can probably go for it right now. That Warp Fire looks so beautiful at night, by the way. And we've got a globe coming down, too. And we have our elf go down. I'll pick her up, but the Warp Fire's a little bit too close. Gonna pop him with the blunderbuss there, and then save my teammate. Coming up right here is a very good example of what would typically not happen in a controlled group with people that you know and communicate well with, but communication is going to break down here. And it's just important to look at this and be cognizant of it and learn from it. And yes, it's happened to everybody. It's happened to me multiple times. Sometimes I do stupid stuff like that too. But that right there was 100% on Saltspire. On voice chat and in-game chat, we specifically said, yo, Sienna's going for the Grim. I said, wait guys, don't go. And Saltspire pushed up, aggroed a bunch of enemies that he didn't need to do so. And that means that, well, actually now Rush Intervention just spawned. So one thing that a lot of people probably haven't heard too much about, it was a mechanic in Vermintide 1, but if you're new to the Vermintide series, you may not know about it because, as with a lot of things in Vermintide, that looks so cool. God, that looks like D-Day right there. That's so awesome. A lot of mechanics in this game, a lot of the information is kind of hidden, which is one of my biggest criticisms of Fat Shark and how they handle Vermintide, is that they hide a lot of their mechanics and they don't make it very clear how a lot of things work, which is silly in and of itself. But there's a mechanic called Rush Intervention, where if you go off by yourself when you're not near your team, you will automatically spawn enemy specials and enemy hordes. And there's a chance for either one of those or both at the same time. So there's 2 elements to Rush Intervention. One is when you're going too quickly through a map, it will spawn it to just slow you down. The other element of Rush Intervention is when you're alone, isolated from your team, there's a chance to spawn specials. So staying as a group is important, not just because it's easier to protect each other that way, but because the game will literally try to kill you if you try to play as a one-man army. What should have happened there is probably I should have dropped with Sienna to get the Grim, and the Elf could have stayed with Salts, and it might have been fine, but there was no reason for them to push further up that street while Wizard was down below, and it cost him his life. So map awareness, very important. Always be aware of where you are and where your teammates are, and one glance behind them would have told them to wait before pushing forward. One little combo you can do with the Halberd, by the way, you'll see me do it a few times this game, just saw me do it against that Chaos Warrior a few seconds ago, is a double headshot. So every weapon in Vermintide 2 has a push stab, a unique attack that comes out when you hold block and left click to push, but keep holding on to left click instead of just tapping it. You'll push, and then you'll do a follow-up attack right after, and for the halberd, it's a quick overhand strike at the head. You can chain that into your normal attack chain overhead, so if you push dab, then left click one more time, you get 2 lightning quick armor-piercing headshots in, and that can be super good against armored enemies. So literally all you gotta do, push dab, attack one more time, you get 2 headshots in a row that pierce armor. Very, very good against Storm Vermin, very good against Chaos Warriors, very good against Maulers and bosses as well. Does cost a little bit of stamina though. So right now, one thing that you might see people do in a situation like this is they might go up and try to deal with the horde themselves in melee and try to get those green circles, because as you know, a lot of people when they're playing Vermintide, especially with a lot of the new players that are coming into the series, they're treating it not like a team game and treating it more like a YOLO, I want to be the best with all the green circles at the end, and that's super important. Which it's not really. I mean, the whole point of Vermintide is beat the mission. If you beat the mission, you're doing a good job. So right here, I could go forward, and I could take on the horde, and I would probably be fine. But if I run forward, I have a chance of taking damage, I have a chance of hurting my team, of making some special spawn that we don't want to spawn. So I just sat back there, let my team do their work. They did a great job shutting down that horde, and we came out of it with 0 damage taken, and probably really no ammo lost either, because I think we have an ammo box nearby, so not a problem anyway. So just make use of those resources and try not to hog the glory. I mean, a lot of situations where it's not beneficial for you to do so whatsoever. But we do have a Bile Troll, second boss of the map, and this one is a little bit more of a problem than the Storm Fiend is. His vomit is brutal. He's very hard to bring down, very tanky. I've had situations where we just simply did not have the DPS to kill it. It kept regenning. If he gets you in a situation where he kills 1 or 2 of your teammates, a lot of the time you simply will not have enough damage on Legend to outdo its regeneration. So, thankfully, our whole team's alive right now, and we're doing a very good job of getting his health down and beating him up, and that Saltspire is actually rocking a beautiful red axe, by the way. Divine Regulator, I think it's called. That was what it was called in Game 1 anyway. And it has those blue runes on them. And headshots with that, with the True Flight, and some stabs from the Halberd and Pyromancer Ultimate, more than enough to bring the monster down pretty quickly. So that was very well done for my teammates there. They did a very good job in bringing that down. I don't even think I did very much damage to it. Halberd's a great weapon. It's not amazing versus bosses, though. You really want to rely on the Bounty Hunter and Pyromancer Ultimate to deal the damage there. And the automatic crits from the repeater crossbow that Saltspire is rocking with right now. Gonna beat the crap out of this gunner runner, push him into a corner, smack him with the blunt end of that blunderbuss, and we're moving along in a nice clip here. All of us at relatively good health at the moment. About to get a conch pot for Carillion or myself. Yeah, she gives it to me. And getting very close to the finale of this map. Bunch of Plague Monks ascending on top of that cart there, and I'll use an ult to control them a bit more. Get a good blunderbuss shot in, headshot that Rattling Gun, and then move up the stairs and try to get to that finale before we get any more hordes, which is going to be not too easy, but we got a bunch of health, and we're doing pretty good right now. And quick aside before we get into the bananas finale of this mission, and it does get very bananas very soon, I just saw Tomb Raider. Save your money. Don't recommend it at all. It was actually really bad in my opinion. Alicia did what she could with the script and the plot. She's a very talented actress, very easy on the eyes, plenty of charisma, but the entire story was just so derivative and predictable and boring and wasted really good actors from start to finish. I mean, Walton Goggins, fantastic actor, absolutely pointless in this movie. Dominic West, great actor, also wasted. The movie just did not need to get made, honestly. First Tomb Raider with Angelina and Daniel Craig was very entertaining, superior in every way. Do not recommend this new one at all. But yeah, we have our Saltspire actually just pushed out into the middle of that crowd. He is very out of position right now. We're not even going to try to get to him, honestly, because we were kind of in this alcove protecting ourselves, and this is a very good spot to hold, actually. What you really want to look for in a spot where you're holding out is a spot where you have room to maneuver, room to use that lateral movement, dodge to the left and the right, because if a gas gets thrown in there, you want to be able to escape from that. But you also want a wall to your back, and that's why wall scooting in this game is such a great way to play, because it means behind you there will never be enemies, but you always have that lateral movement to be able to move from side to side and escape from enemy attacks if you're starting to get overwhelmed. So right there, we had plenty of room to maneuver in there, and I think Saltspire just kind of ran out and kind of zoned out. And this was late at night, so it's entirely possible, and believe me guys, with me, this happens to me all the time. I'm playing Vermintide late at night, and the last couple runs I turned to absolute crap, because I'm just not thinking straight. I'm not analyzing where I am, where my movement is. I'm not attacking correctly. My attack patterns are bad, and your play does go to crap in Vermintide when you're playing on the higher difficulties, and you just need to be very cognizant of where you are. And so yeah, I'm not trying to beat up on Saltspire. Like, those positioning mistakes that you've seen in this game happen to me all the time too, especially late at night. It's just something that you want to be aware of and learn from, so that, one, you might want to go to bed a little bit earlier so that doesn't happen. But yeah, I mean, there were a couple times this game where his positioning was like, why did you do that? That happens to me too, though. It happens to pretty much everybody I know, unless you're the very pinnacle of Vermintide players, which I'm not quite on that level. So our Saltspire's dead, which is not ideal, but we are in a good spot right here to hold. We can deal with hordes coming from both sides. Blunderbuss shot gonna kill 5 or 6 in one. And now Sienna with her beam staff, which is one of the best crowd control weapons in the entire game, with the shotgun blast. And with the regular beam, I mean, that stun locks hordes pretty well also, especially if you're headshotting. Doing very well at holding them back. There's a Packmaster coming, and as I already said, the Blunderbuss is sometimes not such a great choice against the Packmaster. So instead, I'm going to use a Valiant Charge and knock him the F out. He went flying there, and then that gave my Beam Staff player enough time to murder it. And you'll actually notice that we left a tome back there too. That was completely my call, my decision. I looked at the run, I said, we lost a player, I want to win a Legend run. It doesn't matter what kind of chest you get on Legend, it has a chance to drop reds. I'd rather be able to get the chance at dropping a high rarity weapon than bring a tome that doesn't really matter in the scheme of things, gives us a teeny bit more XP, and instead I'll bring the health, and now we have health for this finale. This finale, not necessarily the easiest thing in the world. We've got a Blightstormer, and it can get very hectic here. We have no line of sight on him. I can't hit the Blightstormer from that far away. That has to be up to the Bounty Hunter or the Beam Staff or my Carillion player, and no one has eyes on. So we are killing a lot of Storm Vermin. There are a lot of them around here. I think there were probably around 12 when we got to this portion of the mission, and we have a Horde. So things getting very hectic, very bananas here, but the entire premise of this finale is cut down the chain supporting this Screaming Bell. Second time in Vermintide we've actually dealt with the Screaming Bell. The first is on Man the Ramparts, or Ram the Man Parts, depending on how you want to call it. But we are going to chop the chains down and then get rid of this blasphemous icon from Helmgart for good. It's going to only slow them down for a minute, but once that bell goes down, it will not be able to spread the madness throughout Helmgart, the terror that it's been sowing since the beginning of its inception when it was put in. I'm going to pop a conch pot here, and that was mistimed. Unfortunately, I wanted everyone to drop. What we want to do is get everyone down on the ground so that I can continuously stun lock him. But I popped the conch pot too early. Rat Ogre went up, and I can't do my continuous stunning with my Valiant Charge. So what you want to do there, conch pot, or the concentration pot rather, is the purple one. The entire point of it is that it gives you very, very low cooldown on your ultimate career skill. So with a very low cooldown ultimate like Valiant Charge, you can use it 4 or 5 times in a row on a boss and keep them stun locked forever. Didn't work out that way because he went up top and I wasn't able to charge again and stun him, but it was alright. We killed him very quickly. One thing that this team, again, don't know these players, but we definitely did a very good job in the boss fights to make sure that we just kited them well and bursted them down very quickly with the Pyromancer ult and with Bounty Hunter ultimate as well. I'm going to heal Saltspire here because this last part can get incredibly challenging. You want to be at full health or as high health as possible as you can when you make the run for it. But you want to be patient here. A lot of players I've seen just want to book it as fast as possible and just run by everything. That's not really what you want to do unless you're on like white health and you just need to make an absolute go at it. We want to take this slow at the moment, especially with the Blightstormer. This part got really terrifying, by the way. We're backing all the way up. Look at how much ground that thing covers on Legend. Look at how fast it's moving. Already blocking us off. Got very lucky the Blightstormer decided to teleport forward and try to engage us close up. Because if he had stayed hidden, that would have hit us all and it could have gotten very bad. But we're pushing forward now. Blightstormer's dead. Tornado's gone. the entire hill wreathed in warp fire and flame from the screaming bell as it fell down. And lots of storm vermin coming up. Maybe some plague monks as well. You'll get a lot of specials here. A lot of the elite units, the storm vermin, the chaos warriors, that kind of thing. So you just want to be slow and steady. There's no rush here. Just don't die. Now, unfortunately, with the amount of armor that's coming our way and the horde that's now coming in from behind us, we kind of have to start booking it now. My Sienna goes down. I use my Valiant Charge to try to create some space for her. And in Vermintide 1, might have been able to get that revive off. In Vermintide 2 with the shield storm vermin and all this armor around us, I'm not going to be able to get the revive. At that point, I say screw it. We're going to lose the Grim. Probably going to lose the Tome. Gonna just have to sack that and realize, hey, cut your losses. Make it to the end. We lost a teammate. We lost some of our books. It's not worth killing myself for it. I tried to get it. Won't be able to. Push through. This is where being tanky is extremely beneficial. I would not have lived there if I was any other character except maybe Ironbreaker in the game, and I'm still alive. I see health there. I'm gonna run, pick it up. I'm not on white health. It doesn't matter. I just need to get as much health as possible to make this last little, very hectic sprint to the finish here. And through the burning streets of Helmgart we go, past the Screaming Bell, and try to get that Valiant Charge off, which can get canceled by a single slave attack, which is really annoying. I would like it if the Valiant Charge had maybe one attack of armor when you start it up, so that it doesn't get canceled that easily. But I was able to get away that time and go for the revive, or create some space for my teammate to make the revive, and just deal with the horde for now. But lots of storm vermin, lots of sword and shield, sword and ward in there. Get our Salt Spire up, and we are making it. I'll go forward and deal with two of the storms that are going to come from the other side. Get those headshots in real quick. And we are finally almost there. Sienna wanted to go back for the tome. I'm like, nah, dude. We were so close to wiping there. Not worth it at all. Just go in, finish the mission. We'll get a legend chest, and that'll be good. I've run this mission many times with full Grims and tomes. But this time, it's not going to work out that way. That's alright. Got some sexy halberd gameplay in. And we're going to successfully complete a mission on the hardest difficulty in the game, when you don't count Twitch intervention and heroic deeds and that kind of thing, which add yet another level of entertainment and craziness and challenge as well. But we made it. Really fun run, even if it didn't go as smoothly as maybe we would have liked, and shows what the halberd can do. When there's that much armor, you want that armor piercing. You want to be able to pierce armor on light attacks. That's what the halberd does. Gives you a great headshot multiplier, can butcher storm vermin with ease. Chaos warriors, maybe not with ease, but can definitely do a lot of damage to them. At the end of the day, still got 1,000 XP, almost hit level 25, and it all worked out all right. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed that game. I won't be opening any chests here, because basically what happens is I want to stockpile all my chests until I'm level 30, so that I know for sure I can drop reds from those chests. I have maybe 15 or 20 legend chests stockpiled right now, but there will be more on the way. And I will definitely do some kind of chest opening video to show you guys the kind of loot that you can drop and hopefully get some good weapons out of it as well. Hope you guys enjoyed this game. I'll see you next time. Indie Pride, signing out for now.